I wanted to talk to you about something. If you work in a creative profession such as design, it can be a little bit tough to separate your work self from your self. Sometimes we tie the value of our work to our personality. Like, if I don't do good work, then I'm probably a bad person. And that's natural to identify with your profession. But I wanted to share some tips and tricks that I've developed over the years about how I keep my work self away from my personal self and how I uh, keep my peace, or at least most of the time. Chapter 1. After my first year of design school, we went on break. And after that break, our group, we all came back and we had a lot of beautiful, shiny projects that we were about to share to our teachers. It was a big critique session. And during that critique session, everybody in our class was critiqued into shreds. It was brutal. People were crying, people were hysterical, people were leaving. It was just the worst thing ever. But it was kind of a calculated teaching moment, so everybody got criticized brutally. But after all that, being stressed and disappointed and disencouraged, I was walking by a cafeteria and I locked eyes with one of our teachers, and he looked at me and in a kind of an apologetic way and said, That was the moment when I understood one simple truth. If the quality of my work isn't optimal, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, it doesn't mean that I'm unlikable. And some person who I respect can dislike what I do and at the same time like me as a person. So that was the one important lesson that I learned in design school, probably the most important. Chapter 2. During my professional years, I've learned that not all opinions are made equal. I might take into consideration the opinions of my teachers and my colleagues. I might ask for their input. And some of my clients have great taste and great knowledge about their area of expertise, so their opinion is also very valuable. But when some manager doesn't know what they're talking about and they're trying to boss me around, I can ignore them. Chapter 3. As I've gotten more experienced in my work, I had to sometimes reject and criticize other people. And it makes being rejected and criticized a lot easier because I know that it's probably not personal. Sometimes I like a portfolio of an illustrator, but their style just isn't something that we're looking for. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't make me a bad person if my work is rejected. So getting older actually helps in a lot of things. But one of the things that helps me a lot, even in my personal life, in my romantic relationships, I think, well, I have disliked people before, and it doesn't make them bad people. It's not personal. It's not the end of the world. Chapter 5. It's a bit of a stoic one. I've noticed that each time I do my best, I don't really care about what people say about my work, because I know that I did my best. I did some honest work, and if somebody doesn't like it, well, I couldn't have done anything else. I couldn't have done better. So this is where stoicism helps. There are things that I can control and things that I can't control. The quality of my work and whether I do honest work is something that I can control. I try to do my best every time, all things considered, because sometimes we don't have enough time, sometimes we don't have enough resources, sometimes we don't get a good brief, things happen, but all things considered, I'm trying to do my best every time. This way my conscience is always clear, and if somebody doesn't like my work, that's something that I cannot control, so I don't care. I don't care might sound a little bit arrogant or harsh, but that's the truth, because honestly, my work isn't the most important thing in my life. When I say I don't care what the people think, it means that at the end of the day, it's not that important, and I can most of the time go to bed and have a nice sleep and not stress too much about other people's opinions. Chapter 6. Sometimes nothing actually works. You can build a mental fortress that's supposed to protect you from the world. You can do reframing in your mind. You can tell yourself stories and come up with all sorts of reasons why things are the way they are. And sometimes some comments just get under your skin and there's no way around it. So, why? I can see a couple possible reasons. Number one is getting too emotionally attached to the outcome of the project. When I pour too much of my own creative energy into a project, too much soul, too much passion, and it's a basically commercial thing that I'm doing, it's never a good idea. It usually doesn't end well. Even though that's when I feel the most alive. So that's one possible reason. The second possible reason is something else is wrong, and it actually doesn't have a lot to do with the work. It could be general burnout. Maybe I've been working for a couple weeks with no breaks and long hours and deadlines and all that. Maybe the weather is weird, so everybody is a little bit depressed. Maybe health isn't good. Something else is out of whack, and that's why you can react emotionally to things that are just normal. And the next question is, what are we going to do about this? I would recommend getting distracted. The things that work the best for me when I'm trying to get myself distracted from something really invasive in my mind is actually to work, because passive things don't get me distracted enough. My mind keeps wandering off, and continuing conversations with people and arguing with people in my head isn't fun. So work can give a good distraction, and also things that require a lot of attention, like playing drums. If you can manage to get yourself a drum set, I would highly recommend. It's a beautiful instrument, and it helps take your mind off things. Boxing, I hear, is a great thing, but just don't get into any fights. That's all I have for today, and I'll see you very soon.